let's do a couple clips real quick. I have one here. So Dave Ramsey, the Ramsey Show. The government lied to you again. So this was we did the whole thing about Biden's new student loan plan, the SAVE plan, and how it reduces it to 10 years and it reduces the income-driven repayment and the amount you have to pay and all that. And we were making fun of Jade Warsaw, Warsaw, whatever her name is, because she kept screwing it up and saying it was 25 years and that it was bigger and da da da. Anyway, so I guess she got reamed out a bit, and Dave had to jump on his white stallion and come to her rescue. So we're gonna watch them. This is how the government lied to you about student loans. You ready? I said, are you ready? You there?
Oh, I'm
ready. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, Jade, if you go on vacation for 3 weeks, stuff happens while you're gone.
Yeah, a lot happened while you were gone.
So
Dave.
First thing that happens, Supreme Court rules and says President Joe Biden does not have the power to forgive student loans. The second thing that happens is Joe Biden came out with an announcement that they were...
First off, the Supreme Court did not say the president does not have the power to forgive student loans. That's not what they said. What they said was they didn't buy his justification under the HEROES Act that he could do a loan forgiveness this big. Now, if what he said was true, when Bush forgave student loans under the HEROES Act, that would have been illegal. Right? But that's not what happened. So already...
Right. Once again, he's misrepresenting what happened already.
Right. Already, we're what? We're 24 seconds in and he screwed this up. So let's see how much more we can go. Gosh. So that was wrong already.
Forgiving a bunch of student loans, which was actually a complete falsehood because the student loan process already involved forgiveness for people that did the PLC public service process, and it was 10 years, and now it's going to be 25 years. And
now, God, wow, there were a bunch of lies in that one. So, you know the PLC loans, Lacey. You're familiar with PLC loans, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not a thing. He thinks he's thinking of PSLF. PLC is not a thing. I looked it up because I was like, am I mistaken? Is there a PLC loan? No, there's a Perkins loan but there's a PLC.
No, he's doing...
There's a loan company called PLC. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say he's just lumping some things together and calling it the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But in the process, he's being super confusing. Yeah, he's screwing it up and he's being confusing.
Okay, so then he says, all right, so first off...
He must be talking about the public student loan forgiveness program. That's the only thing I can assume he means, yeah.
He's talking about the SAVE program, first off, right? Okay, so the SAVE program, there were people that were in the SAVE program for the 20 to 25 years, right? That happened. I think that happened to Clinton. And yeah, that happened to Clinton, and they were in that for that. But then Betsy DeVos denied all those people when they were entitled to actually get loan forgiveness, right? Biden just said, we're now authorizing all this loan forgiveness, right? So we're forgiving whatever this is, $39 billion in loans, right? Now he's saying, well, he lied because that was already on the books. I'm like, yeah, but it hadn't been enforced. So he is not exactly lying when he says, no, we're actually going to forgive it because I just ordered them to go ahead and forgive that. So now he is...
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know what? Ramsey was so confusing when he said that. I automatically thought that he was lumping it in with the public student loan forgiveness. I thought that was the set of loans he was talking about because he screwed up.
But the public student loan forgiveness, that was a different program that they were doing. So that program had been backed up because, as you remember, it was under the Trump presidency. It was only like 4 or 5% of qualified applicants.
It was actually down to like 3.
Yeah. We're getting them. DeVos was denying everybody. And then when Biden became president, that's one of the first things they fixed. It took them about a year, but that's been going on. I know because I just got a couple clients PSLF loan forgiveness last year.
Right.
So that was an older program.
My point.
Go ahead.
My point. I know that there are separate programs. My point is that he's already screwed this up out of the gate enough to where when I was listening, I thought he was screwing up the name, but I thought he was talking about the loans that are in the PSLF program. That's what I thought he was talking about as he's screwing it up. But he's obviously screwing it up already so much out of the gate. He's wanted to make this big commentary about the loans, but he doesn't even know which loans are which and which program is which.
Right. So he's saying, like you said, he's implying this is the PSLF thing, but no, that was handled last year.
Right.
Okay. It's actually part of the income-driven repayment, the old income-driven repayment program from years and years ago, right? And that's what he's forgiving now, right? Now, the other thing he screws up is he calls it a PLC loan, which is not a thing. If it is, please let me know in the comments, because I spent like 45 minutes trying to figure out what he was talking about by a PLC loan. The only thing I could find is there is a private student loan company called PLC, but that was all I could find. So I don't know what he was talking about. I think he just misspoke. But then
I was assuming he misspoke and he was talking about the public student loan forgiveness program and just didn't know what to call it.
But then the next thing he says, and this is the same mistake Jade made when we criticized it last time, which is they've extended the program from 10 years to 25 years. Now, we don't know which program he's talking about, but that's...
Yeah, what is he talking about?
But what actually happened was the IDR program under Biden, and it probably won't happen until next year, they're going to reduce it from 20 to 25 years to 10 years. So they're reducing the amount of time you have to pay on that program, not increasing it.
It's going the opposite direction, assuming they're talking about what was known as the income-based repayment forgiveness, now sort of getting revamped into the SAVE program and reduced. Yeah, but it's going the opposite direction.
Right.
Assuming that's what they're even talking about. But what the through line is here is that whenever they go on and they start talking about these things, they're being very confusing, and I assume it's because they don't really know what they're talking about. But in the process, people like you, myself, and I'm sure other listeners start assuming they're talking about, like, oh, they must have misspoken, they must be talking about blank. So we're trying really hard to apply logic to what they're saying, because I was assuming that they were talking about one thing and you were thinking maybe they were talking about something else, because they're literally just not saying it correctly.
No, and that's the thing that's so funny to me, is because here we are, we're 40 seconds into this video, and we're still trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about, because it's all back asswards. I mean, he's screwed this whole thing up. I mean, I don't think these two could find their asses with both hands if they tried. They've got this all messed up.
But definitely you should be listening to them about your money, because
they know what they're doing.
A very great idea, right? They don't even know what the program is, what the loan is, but definitely they're the answer.
Yeah, but they know the government lied to you. Yet they don't even know what they're talking about. Okay.
They don't even know about what?
Yeah, they don't know about anything.
You just went on a rant last week about that, which has now got over 300,000 views.
That's right.
Because you got it all wrong.
So
it's not the same forgiveness, guys.
It's not student loan forgiveness at all.
No, it was.
By the way, of the people that signed up for that when it was a 10-year program that are now coming up on 10 years, almost no one has gotten, less than 5% of the people have actually gotten the forgiveness. So one more time, the government
once again.
And again, he's also spouting old information that was happening under DeVos and the Trump administration.
Right, not what's happening now.
No longer applicable now. It's literally not even applicable now. I mean, it's a part of the history of this program, and it shows why it needs to be revamped.
Right.
Because it was, all the red tape was proving problematic for people. But he's literally, if you're paying attention, building a case for why the revamping of these programs is necessary.
Yeah, and I don't think the PSLF program.
He doesn't even know it.
The PSLF program hasn't changed. What he's talking about, and when he said, "Oh yeah, the people that should have gotten after 10 years," no, that was 20, 25 years under the old income-driven repayment program, which is what we're talking about, which is what Jade fucked up last time when we talked about this.
But what he's doing is he's trying to spout the information from the rejections on the PSLF program that were happening under DeVos. So, like, again, he is combining these things
and taking the worst parts that he wants.
Smoke and mirrors. Yes, he's taking the worst parts of all of the things, putting them together, packaging them like they're one thing, and then spreading a bunch of, like, frustration and fear that, like, people aren't going to get what they're supposed to be getting, etc., by splicing these things together. That, well, he's taking, I guess we could maybe credit him with taking some things that are true that happened historically, but he's packaging them completely incorrectly in a very deceptive manner.
Right. So let me just
very deceptive.
Real quick before we continue on, simplify this for everybody at home. PSLF was the public servant loan forgiveness program.
Public student loan forgiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, if you were a teacher, you worked for a nonprofit, or I think civil servants, and you worked for 10 years and you paid on your loan every month for 10 years, 120 payments, right? For 10 years, you were eligible to get your loan forgiven. I mean, there are other factors to this. I'm simplifying, but whatever remained, you were eligible to get it forgiven. So if you paid $18,000 on your loan, but you owed $60,000, that other $42,000 would be forgiven. Right? Now, that hasn't changed. Okay, what's changed here is there used to be a program where you pay whatever your minimum payment or the income-driven repayment, right? And if you paid it every month for 20 to 25 years, right? So 240 plus months, right? And you did pay it every month, you could be eligible to get it forgiven after that time frame if you still owed on it. So for him to sit there and say that's not student forgiveness is bullshit. That is student forgiveness. They're forgiving you what's left. Right? What Biden's saying is we're going to reduce the minimum payment you do on those plans, the income driven, the minimum payment plans, reduce the amount you have to pay every month. We're not going to charge interest on top, so the loan's not going to grow at all, right? Beyond what you borrowed. And furthermore, we're going to reduce that from 25 years to 10 years that you pay it. So you're basically getting the same deal that the public student loan forgiveness is. What he's doing is conflating what they used to be in the past and trying to say that's what's going on now, and it's not. And when he talks about people didn't get that in the past, he's talking under Trump when they denied everybody. Why? Because the Department of Education is under the executive branch, like the Army or the Marines, right? The Department of Homeland Security, the Post Office. So the president actually oversees the Department of Education, right? So if Trump says, yeah, block all the student loans, Betsy DeVos is going to block all the student loans. But if the president says, no, I want you to forgive all the student loans that you can, that's what you got to do as the head of the department, right? You're obligated. So that's what's going on. That's what he's missing. So to sit there and say he's not forgiving loans, they are forgiving loans. They're just using the old programs and revamping them to make them more affordable going forward. But that's what they totally miss from this whole thing. And it's amazing that we can we're a minute in and they still can't figure this out. But now everybody at home knows.
Lied to you, whether they're Republicans or whether they're Democrats, it doesn't matter. You can tell they're lying about the student loan issue if their mouth is moving.
That's right.
And then this comes out today, and this one is not as maddening from the Daily Wire as it is sad.
Well, this is sad because this is about you, the people.
First off, the Daily Wire is a right-wing rag. It's run by Ben Shapiro. I wouldn't trust what comes out of the Daily Wire. It's one of those where they're very anti-feminist, very like racist, anti-trans shit comes out of there. We're one of the papers that railed against the Barbie movie. That's how they were pro DeSantis for a while there. So not exactly a news source I'd be trusting.
Loan debt holders spent the extra money that they thought would be wiped clean. So we know, I'll just read this. The poll by intelligent.com surveyed 977 people who would have qualified for at least $10,000 of relief under Biden's plan. Now, we know that was struck down, but, we've all talked about this. So many people thought, I'm going to get this forgiveness, Dave. Or people whose loans were paid off. They got that refund back of $10,000 and they thought.
And they didn't.
They didn't get it. They spent the money.
Okay, well, I'm going to leave it at that. So they're talking about a whole separate thing where from a survey they saw of 977 people. I love this. They always pick like a survey that doesn't even give you a good stat,
Dear
right?
Slippery Slope.
977 people out of 40 million. It's not giving you an accurate picture. And then they're going to sit there and say, well, these people...
on top of it, what are they talking about?
Well, they're saying these people thought they were going to get the $10,000 student loan relief, so they spent the money. Right.
But then she just went on and said that they got their refund checks and spent them.
Some people got...
What refund checks?
Some people did get advanced refund checks on accident. That was an error on the Department of Education's part. That's what she's talking about. But that was a mistake. That was just a ministerial error. But the bottom line is that it's a moot point because
Because I was going to say I didn't think they'd even processed any of that yet.
Well, here's the deal. You guys were against student debt relief at all. And now that these people didn't get it, now you're saying, well, see, they were stupid. They should have listened to us. And it's like, well, yeah, but you guys are the ones fighting against them getting it. That's the thing, is you're fighting against people getting this. And then when they don't get it, it's ha-ha, nanny, boo-boo. It's like, it's the whole quit hitting yourself gag, Remember when the bully grabs your arms and makes you hit yourself? That's what they're doing.
Right.
So it's just pointless at that. But either way, I think we got the point across there. They didn't have any clue. They don't know what's going on. They couldn't figure out which way was up. Honestly. I'm surprised.
Well, just listening to them was so confusing because they were trying to combine all of these separate things as if they're one thing and rolling them into like one package, like the same. It was actually really very difficult to listen to because they were not separating these things at all.
Well, they clearly didn't read anything.
Constantly like, what are you talking about?
Right. It's like we always say, they never read. They clearly didn't read any of this stuff. Because it's not that hard to understand what the basic plan is. Biden's laid it out several times. In fact...
Right, but it's people like them that actually cause more confusion with people among what these plans are. Because I know all three of these plans pretty well. I've read a lot about them. I help clients with them. And I've been confused for most of this clip, being like, what are they even talking about? Because they're trying to take all the worst of all of these things and smoosh them together and act like it's one thing. So I'm like, oh, they must be talking about this thing. No, they're not. They're grabbing all this random stuff and shoving it together.
Yeah, which is, and it's all bullshit. And everything they said was bullshit. So here, we'll just so you guys, in case you don't believe us, here's the New York Times on the Biden new student loan debt plan costs and everything. So basically, they figure it'll cost the government about $475 billion over the next decade, so about $47.5 billion per year. It's not super expensive. The new repayment plan, announced last year and completed this month by the Education Department, offers borrowers a new option that caps payments for undergraduate loans at 5% of the borrower's income. So they've reduced the amount that they can require you to pay to 5%. It used to be 10. After the borrower's made payments for either 10 or 20 years, The term depends on the size of the loan. Any remaining balance will be forgiven. So 10 or 20 years, depending on the size of the loan. So they've reduced it from 20 years to some people can get it for 10. Right? He kept saying it was the other way around. That they extended it to 20. No, they reduced it from 20 to 10, which is going to be for most people. Right? So the idea being, if you're, a young person, we did this last time, you get out of college, you're 22, you start paying your 5% of your, it's 5% of your discretionary income, so not, whatever that is. You pay that every month until you're 32. And then depending on the size of your loan, you should be able to get all of your loan forgiven. So for most people with just a bachelor's, that's your whole loan.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, so you could have your loan paid off in 10 years, kids. Why don't you call your, millennial uncle or Gen X uncle and aunt and see what they think of that? Because they're going to tell you some horror stories about how they've been paying on it since they were your age and they didn't get any of that. So, God, it's just ridiculous. But we'll do one more